All right, welcome back everyone to Courtroom Conversations on a Classic Courtroom YouTube channel. I'm Dylan Brooks Hamilton.
I'm Susan Kelly Ashford.
And we are back with another deep dive.
Yes, we are.
Into a really fascinating case. So hit that like button.
This one's going to be a good one.
Subscribe to the channel so you never miss an episode.
Yes, definitely.
And let's just jump right into it today.
Okay.
We are going over to Virginia for the disappearance of Mamta Kafle Bhatt.
Yeah, this case is really interesting.
It's a case that has kind of gripped the nation.
Yeah.
With its mystery and intrigue.
Absolutely. So tell me what you know about it.
Yeah. So Mamta Kafle Bhatt, she's a 28-year-old nurse.
Okay.
And she disappeared in late July.
Of this year. 2024.
2024.
Correct.
Initially, her husband Naresh was arrested back in August.
Right.
But only on the charges of concealing a body.
So at that point, they didn't think that there was enough to actually charge him with murder.
Yeah, and that was a really big point of contention, I think, for a lot of people following the case.
Yeah.
Because they're like, how can you...
Yeah, how can you charge him...
arrest somebody for concealing a body.
Right.
If you don't even know that there's a body to conceal.
Exactly, and if you don't think that there's been a murder, how can you charge him with concealing the body?
So then just this week, a grand jury decided there was enough evidence to formally charge him with murder.
Okay.
The trial is set for September of next year. It's a situation where the prosecution has to build their entire case
without the victim's remains.
Without a body.
It's tough.
So historically, these cases have been incredibly tough to win.
Incredibly tough.
Because you need that physical evidence to link the accused to the crime. And in the past, without a body, prosecutors had very little to go on.
Yeah, in the past, they relied a lot on confessions. Or, witnesses who may have seen something.
Right.
But without a body, it was very difficult to prove that a murder had actually taken place.
So how do they even try a case like this?
Well,
if there's no body, how do they prove that a murder even happened?
That's where I think the advances in forensic science really come into play.
Okay.
So we're in a whole new era of crime solving.
Yeah.
If you think about it, years ago, we didn't have DNA analysis. We didn't have all of the technology that we have today. So imagine a tiny speck of blood found in Naresh's car.
Okay.
In the past, that may not have been helpful to the prosecution.
Right.
But now with DNA technology, that could be the crucial link that connects him to Mamta's disappearance.
It really is like putting together a puzzle piece by piece, isn't it?
Absolutely, yeah.
And then on top of that, you've got cell phone records, you've got surveillance footage.
Everywhere.
I mean,
there are cameras everywhere we go these days.
I mean, everybody has a camera in their pocket, basically.
Absolutely, yeah.
And so this digital trail can really tell a story of its own.
Right.
So you look at things like, where was Naresh when Mamta disappeared? Did his movements match his alibi?
Right.
This kind of digital evidence can be really powerful.
Yes, especially in the absence of a body.
Yeah, and it's clearly having an impact. So juries are clearly increasingly willing to rely on circumstantial evidence.
It seems that way.
Especially when it's presented in a clear and convincing way.
I think that's the key.
Yeah, it'd be good.
You have to be able to present the evidence in a way that makes sense to the jury.
Right. And without that body, it is a little bit more difficult.
It is.
To kind of connect those dots for people.
Right. Especially when you think about...
when you have something.
The burden of proof lies with the prosecution.
Right.
So they have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that this person committed this crime.
Yeah.
And without a body, that's a very difficult thing to do.
But I think it's also important for us to remember that behind the legal complexities of this,
absolutely,
there is a real human tragedy unfolding here.
Right.
Mamta's family
is desperate for answers.
It's desperate for answers. And the entire community has rallied around them in support.
Yeah. I mean, this is a case that has really touched a lot of people.
Yeah.
And, you see people coming out and, doing searches.
Yeah. There are big community searches for Mamta.
Right.
And I think...
and the family is, originally from Nepal.
Yes.
So it's even gotten attention internationally.
Yes. And the outpouring of support for her family has been immense.
Absolutely.
But there's also been a lot of talk about Court TV wanting to broadcast the trial.
Right.
And this has raised some difficult questions.
Yeah. I mean, on the one hand, I think we all want transparency. And, we want to make sure that
justice is served.
Yeah. And that the public has a right to know what's going on. But you also have to think about the victim's family.
The victim's family and like how much of this is...
Do they want all of this attention?
Right. Is this something that's going to help them heal?
Right.
Or is it going to...
make things worse?
Make things worse.
Right.
And there was one quote that I read from a supporter of Mamta's, a woman named Angel Rodas. And she said, the media has a way of twisting narratives and exploiting grief for profit.
And that's a valid concern.
Yeah. I mean, she opposes broadcasting the trial.
Yeah.
Out of respect for the family's privacy.
Right.
But on the other side, you could also argue that this kind of media attention could actually help Naresh's defense.
It could.
It could sway public opinion in his favor.
Yeah, it's hard to say. And I think media coverage in these high-profile trials is always a double-edged sword.
Absolutely.
On the one hand...
It can bring awareness to the case.
Yeah.
It can put pressure on law enforcement to do a thorough investigation. But it can also, create a lot of bias.
Yeah. And it can be really difficult to find an impartial jury.
Absolutely. When you have so much media coverage.
When everybody's already
Everybody's already formed an opinion.
And I think...
In this case...
It's a delicate balance.
Yeah. The stakes couldn't be higher.
No.
We have a nobody murder trial. A family who is searching for justice.
Right.
And the whole world is watching.
Yeah.
So it's really hard to predict how this is all going to unfold.
And it'll be interesting to see, how the prosecution presents their case.
Right.
What kind of evidence do they have?
Yeah. Are they going to be able to convince a jury?
Right.
Beyond a reasonable doubt.
Right.
That Nobita is guilty of murder.
Without that body.
Without the body.
That's going to be the challenge.
Yeah. And on the other hand?
Will the defense be able to create reasonable doubt?
Yeah.
And, what role will public opinion and media scrutiny play in all of this?
It's going to be fascinating to see how it all plays out.
Absolutely.
So if you guys
that's the one
want to follow along with us
that we need to keep our eye on
as we cover this case, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Subscribe to Classic Courtroom so you never miss an episode.
And let us know in the comments what you think.
Yes.
What are your predictions?
What are your predictions for this case? And we'll be back next time with another deep dive.
Sounds good. See ya.